The wind at 4,000 meters did not forgive mistakes. It sliced across the valley in sharp, invisible currents, bending grass and rattling the metal railings of the observation deck. 13 decorated experts stood in a row, rifles resting against their shoulders, brows tight with calculation. One by one they fired, one by one they missed. A faint metallic echo drifted back each time, not the sound of triumph but of disappointment. The target, a small steel plate set against a distant cliff, remained untouched. It shimmered in the midday heat like a mirage, almost mocking the gathered crowd. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you. Ray watching from I love knowing who is listening. The 13th expert lowered his rifle slowly. He was respected, seasoned, confident, and yet even he had underestimated the wind shear, the elevation shift, the subtle tremble of heat rising from stone. The observers murmured politely, but the truth was obvious. The shot was nearly impossible. Nearly at the edge of the viewing line stood a girl no one had introduced. Her name was Alina. She wore no medals, no insignia that drew attention, just a faded cap and gloves slightly too large for her hands. She had been quiet all morning, standing beside her instructor, absorbing every failed attempt like pages in a book. Some in the crowd had noticed her, most had dismissed her. Alina felt their doubt like static in the air. She had felt it her whole life in classrooms, in competitions, in rooms where confidence spoke louder than competence. She wasn't loud, she wasn't imposing, she simply listened, and she calculated. When her instructor gently asked if she wanted to try, a ripple of surprise moved through the spectators. One official frowned, another smirked, whispering something about symbolic participation. Alina heard it. For a moment her throat tightened. What if they were right? What if she embarrassed herself? 13 experts had already proven how unforgiving this distance was. The safe choice would be to decline politely, but safe choices had never moved her forward. She stepped toward the rifle. The valley seemed to grow quieter, as though even the wind paused to watch. She lay prone, adjusting the bipod with careful fingers. The metal was cool beneath her touch. Her breathing slowed. Inhale, exhale. Through the scope, the world narrowed into a circle of glass. She did not rush. Alina remembered something her father once told her while teaching her to skip stones across a lake. Don't fight the water, understand it. The wind wasn't an enemy, it was information. She watched the distant grass ripple left to right. She studied the faint shimmer above the rocks. She felt the breeze brush her cheek. Every movement spoke. The crowd shifted impatiently. A man coughed. Someone checked their watch. Doubt pressed in again. She could feel it, the weight of expectation, the quiet hope that she would miss so the hierarchy of expertise would remain intact. There was comfort in the familiar narrative. Experts succeed, newcomers fail. But Alina wasn't trying to disrupt a narrative. She just wanted to take the right shot. Her finger settled gently on the trigger, not tense, not forced. She waited another breath, and then she fired. The crack split the air and vanished into the valley. The crowd leaned forward instinctively, eyes searching the distant cliff. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then a sharp metallic ring carried back across 4,000 meters of space, clear, undeniable. The steel plate swung. Silence fell heavier than the wind ever had. Even the birds seemed stunned into stillness. Alina lowered the rifle slowly, her heartbeat suddenly loud in her ears. She didn't smile. She didn't look around for applause. She simply exhaled as if releasing something she had carried for years. The experts stared through binoculars, confirming what their ears had already told them. The mark was clean, centered. One of the senior officials removed his cap, not in obligation, but in respect. In that moment, something shifted not just on the range, but within the crowd. The quiet girl was no longer invisible, yet she had not demanded attention. She had earned it. Alina stood brushing dust from her sleeves. Her instructor's eyes glistened with pride, though he said nothing. He didn't need to. What mattered wasn't that 13 experts had missed. What mattered was that she had trusted herself enough to try. Later, as conversations buzzed and theories circulated about wind drift and angle compensation, Alina walked toward the edge of the valley alone. The wind still moved freely, indifferent to praise or reputation. She smiled softly. The world had not changed. The wind was still unpredictable. The distance was still daunting. But she knew something now. Skill is quiet. Confidence is patient. And doubt is often just noise waiting to be silenced. Never let someone else's certainty define your limits, because sometimes the softest voice carries the strongest impact, and sometimes across impossible distances, belief travels farther than fear. If this story moved you, tell us below. Have you ever surprised the people who underestimated you? And if you believe quiet strength deserves more recognition, subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more stories that echo long after the silence.